Hey,
Da-da-da.
welcome back.
We're here.
It's episode 5. Episode 5, Dan. Welcome to What Are You Into? James, we've been going solid now for this is technically 6. It's 5 official episodes, but I think that means we're officially
In kindergarten. We've made it to the age of crayons and nap time.
But I'm not saying it's a milestone. I'm just saying I've started a few podcasts that only got about 2 episodes out. So I think at this point, I'm like, hey, it's happening. We're rolling. It's part of our weekly schedule. It's feeling good. I'm loving it.
I was just saying the other day, what I also like about doing this podcast with you is it's a dedicated time that I know I get to hang out with Curt.
Yes, me too.
You know?
I talk with you 100%. It's so funny. Yeah. I was talking to my friend Dave Chen, who hosts the Filmcast, which is a very successful podcast. But he said multiple times, a lot of great podcasts are just built out of, we were having the conversation anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just record it. And I very much feel the same way. And with Riker last week and with our next guest we've coming up, genuinely, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to have that conversation. This is going to be so much fun. And hopefully that's coming through to the audience that's listening.
Yeah. So speaking of listening, listeners have sent in some emails that last episode we said we were going to look at, and we're men of our words. So we're going to do that right now. I'm going to start off first with an email from Anna from the UK. Shout out to Anna from the UK. And all
Hello,
of our UK
Anna.
listeners. So Anna writes, very recently I've been into Paris Paloma, a British singer-songwriter, particularly her songs about gender roles in society and fighting against AI doomerism. The music is always well done, with power behind it, but also complex layers, though for me, her lyrics are the best part. Rich with imagery, but still accessible. Anna recommends Good Boy and also Miyazaki as 2 of her favorite songs. So everyone check out Paris Paloma.
I must confess, I've never heard of this artist thus far, but just a quick Google search, and I am vibing with this aesthetic. It is there's a lot of evocative imagery. There's a lot of cool stuff going on. So I'm already intrigued just from the quick Google search. So I appreciate the recommendation.
And I need to go back to some words that I brought up last week about music videos and, the intention behind them not necessarily being that great. Shame on me, because what I should be pointing out is that most mainstream music videos, yes, are kind of falling into that. Let's just make a video just to get the song out there. But from the little bit that I have seen about Paris Paloma and artists like Ray, artists like FKA Twigs, they are putting the intention. They are doing the work. So I think you have to look for artists that aren't necessarily being ran by the machine, and the ones that are trying to stand out and make an identity for their art. It is being done. So I will. Oh,
I will say, even last week, just editing the episode, I was trying to put some fun B-roll in, and I'd never heard of Ray until you brought her up last week. And I watched that music video, her new one, and I was like, this is cool. Wow, this is sick.
Yes.
Realizing, you were saying, the music director or the director for that music video is a legendary music director who's made a bunch of stuff. So there is still great stuff being made. You just have to go find it. And again, shout out to the Jungle album. We've talked about it. I had watched some stuff that you had shared, but in searching for B-roll, I just went down a rabbit hole and watched, I don't know, 7 or 8 of those music videos. And my God, it's intoxicating. It's so good. It's so lush and interesting and so good. So good.
If you haven't watched those, please go do that. It's amazing. All right, let's run over to another email from Jake Morgan, also from the UK. So shout out to our friends in the UK. You all are rocking it. Jake says that they've been really into the choreography of Broadway shows, especially Be More Chill, which was on Broadway in 2019. Jake just feels that dance is a misunderstood art form. And I would agree. There are certain, and I would even say within certain Broadway shows, dance is kind of all right, here's a little number, here's a little production number. We'll throw things, and I get bored with that. So, anytime if you have a show that you actually, this is great for all of our listeners. If there is a stage show that you really liked the choreography of, can you send us an email? So, what are you into pod@gmail.com and let us know what those shows are, because I'm interested to see what people are vibing with in their live entertainment sphere.
James, as a dancer, do you have one that stands out on your Mount Rushmore in terms of choreography and staging? Is there a show that comes to mind that's kind of an all-timer for you?
It feels like a cop-out answer, but if you get the right cast of dancers for a chorus line, it's one of the coolest things you'll ever see.
It's a great answer. It's a great
That
answer.
one, and also for the same reasons, West Side Story. And many people will come up with there will be productions that will do the original Robbins choreography. There will also be productions that will try to put their own spin on it. I think the closer you are to the Robbins choreography and the intention, I think the stronger your show is. That it's not to say that people can't do their own choreography for it. I just know that when you try to emulate is when it falls off for me, rather than either do
Just
what it
embrace
was
it.
or just either embrace what it was, or if you're just going to make your own thing, make your own thing. Whether it flies or falls, that's for the viewer to decide. But it's when you try to do Robbins without doing Robbins that I start to question what's going on.
I'm of the same mindset of like seeing a show reinvent is really exciting. Like, I don't know if you've been following any of the Cats Jellicle Ball, the remake.
I need to see that show so badly.
And I'll just be super real. Not a big Cats fan on its face. I've never been like, love Cats. I want to see that show because just the images that I've seen out of it, I'm like, this feels so different and so fresh and so just exciting. And I'm like, that is what I crave when somebody is going to touch something that is tried and true and maybe, I don't want to say overdone, but it had its run. If you're going to I was talking with Nick Lang, Starkey's Nick Lang, about this very thing today, just of like, when you're going to go back to a source that is so well, the path is well trodden. Is that the word?
Sure. Yeah, we'll go with that.
It's like you really have two options. You can just do what works, or you really need to do something that's out of left field. And so, like I said, not a Cats fan, but just the snippets I've seen coming from social media with, the sort of revamp of Cats, I'm like, that feels fresh. That feels new. That feels wild and different. So I'm like so in for that.
That's going to touch on what I want to talk about later in the episode. But yeah, there's
cats
on your mug. There's a cat on his mug.
This is my cat Linus.
But
I should love Cats.
Linus. Yes,
I should love Cats, the musical. It's Linus's favorite musical.
But yeah, I'm also I've talked to people who have seen this Cats revival, and I mean, it is a revival by the pure fact that it is an existing score and show, but that is a true reinvention. And it's not often that you get a stage revival, a Broadway revival of a longstanding classic musical that truly changes its perspective of how it tells the story. But I think this is the most inclusive version you can tell. I think the context was what they're using. Like, if anyone that doesn't know ball culture goes to see this, they're going to automatically be inundated with it. They're going to know. And I think it's such a perfect way to tell what is a bizarre story. I've seen Cats so many times, and not once did I walk out of that theater saying that I knew what was going on. So to put it in the context of an actual ball, brilliant idea. And I hope it runs forever. Okay. So let's pop into one more. This is an interesting one. So this is from Izzy Berry, and Izzy recommends two things, actually. This is from Izzy. First off, musically, I cannot recommend you both, probably enough. Checking out the band The Amazing Devil. Oh, I read that sentence wrong. Let me redo that. We're gonna redo that. Okay, here we go. First off, musically, I cannot recommend you both checking out the band The Amazing Devil enough. Genre-wise, they fall somewhere in the folk alternative rock space, and they have put out 3 albums since 2016. Highly recommend that we listen to each album in order without shuffling as well. Their music makes Izzy feel the entire gamut of human emotion, and it's beautiful. Second thing recommended, it's the short-lived, little-known project called The Middleman. It is both a comic series through Viper Comics as well as a 2008 12-episode TV show that aired on ABC Family. Described by its creators as a love letter for nerds by nerds. The idea came from a pilot written for a television series, and it is not it's not on streaming anywhere. So if you can try to find it, see what you can. But the middleman is played by Matt Kessler, and Wendy Watson is played by Natalie Morales, who I'm now realizing has had a very long career and has been in so many shows.
Yeah.
So those are a couple recommendations we received from some of our wonderful listeners here.
We appreciate it. And I'm going to go check all these things out. I'm like Googling as we speak, going, ooh, interesting. So,
and I'll be honest, I've been rather busy the last couple of weeks, but as I'm thinking of just ways for us to engage with our audience, I'm thinking about starting kind of like a podcast that people can contribute to, or if they can't do it, what I would like to do is make a did I say podcast? I meant to say playlist. That's what I meant to say. It's been a long day for both of us, so we're both going to say words, and whatever comes out, just bear with us. But I want to make a playlist, and so the idea would be any song recommendations you give us, I'll put them on a public playlist, and anyone can check these things out. So
it's a great idea.
I'm gonna work on that, and I will let you all know when that is live and kicking.
That's a really good idea. I love that. We could even, we could do this two ways. We could have a music playlist. We could also do like a letterboxed movie, list that we start. I don't know if there's one for TV, but I'm sure there is something where we could have like media recommendations. Maybe a book one. We'll figure it out. We'll figure out what those different things would be. But that's a great idea.
Yeah. So be on the lookout for that. I'll work on that. And as always, if you have any recommendations or anything you want to ask us, you can reach us at sowhatareyouintopod@gmail.com. And as we just saw, we'll read them on the podcast.
That we will.
Yes.
James, what have you been up to this week? What's been going on?
What's been going on? So it's not.
We're both like tired. So
we're both so tired. So as recently as today, and this is not a secret, but we just started filming the official first season of Realm.
Let's go.
Yes. So we are
off the heels of a successful Kickstarter. You guys are into production now.
We are into production, and I wish I could talk about the contents of what we filmed today. It was very exciting. It was very great to just hop back in to these characters, and thank you to everyone that supported the Kickstarter, because there were some fun little add-ons into our story as contributed by your pledges. So thank you so much for doing that. And besides that, I just took part in this. I think I might have mentioned it last week, but I took part in Public Assembly, which is a
yes. Oh, yes. I wanted to see this so bad. I'm so interested in curious about this as a concept.
It is so basically, Public Assembly is a nonprofit here in LA. They are a theater company, and what they do is several times throughout the year, they receive submissions from first-time writers or people who may have some experience writing. But they try to get new writers for each of their specific performances, and they'll select 3 scripts with some sort of loose theme that connects all the stories, but they can be truly about anything. And with those 3 writers, they hire however many actors are needed. They tend to be smaller groups of actors. My show in particular had 6, and they make very quick one acts. Nothing's longer than 15 minutes. And there's a wonderful day. I think it's the last Thursday of that month. They bring a crowd of about 300 people that are just excited to see live theater in LA, and put on a little show. And so we happened to do this in Pasadena last week, and mine was the show that I was in was called Mating Rituals, which was about 4 birds and their mating rituals. And I played a peacock who was an asshole.
So the prince.
Cinderella. It was so funny because I was thinking that. I was like, wow, I've been my whole life people just telling me how nice of a guy I am. And yet some of the most fun I've had on stage is where I play a complete dick.
Yeah,
So yeah, I'm noticing a trend
that's so
now.
funny.
But
That's so cool.
yeah.
I feel like there is a belief or an idea, which I am here to say is false when people think about Los Angeles. People associate it with film and television and movie stars and celebrity. And I feel like I hear people often say, especially when I go home to Texas, I don't know if you ever get this when you go to Michigan, but like, oh, LA is kind of a fake place, or I don't know, this sort of like sheen of plastic celebrity. But I'm here to tell you there is such a thriving arts creative scene of like passionate artists, whether it's in the improv or comedy scene or with theater, with people getting together and making projects. It is genuinely the reason I have stayed, because if I had just stayed for like the work, I probably would have left a long time ago. But there is such a thriving scene of passionate, interesting artists doing stuff for the love of it that I just don't think it's talked about enough. I think people just
Mhm,
don't see that part of the city. I feel like people associate that with New York, but
mhm.
I just there is such a cool culture here, and I'm on a journey, a mission to like I want to plug more into that and get. There's been a few like pop ups that I've seen recently where I've been trying to figure out when I can go, but there's this really cool like coffee shop movie club thing where people are like screening their shorts at this coffee shop. Our mutual friend Mary Kate Wiles
Mm.
invited me recently to this thing that was like a um, every month or so, maybe it's every quarter, they a bunch of really cool artists and animators get together in someone's backyard and screen like stuff they've been working on and shorts. And I just there's such a world of people just trying things and exploring things, and I'm wanting to dive into that more. So when you told me about this, and what that's so cool. So
Yeah.
how was the experience like in the room? What was the vibe of the audience?
Oh, they were again so excited, and and who knows? Maybe these are people who go to theater all the time, or they're just friends of the writers or the actors. But it's rare that you go to an event. Well, that I've been to an event where people are just genuinely excited to be there for the thing, especially when that thing is theater. This isn't like
Mhm.
a, oh, we're gonna
Mhm.
dress up and like, it's not hoity-toity. It's literally pay what you can.
I
They're
love
not they're
that.
not charging some huge amount of dollars money for this
I
event
tried to get tickets, but you were not kidding. It sold out like that. It was
so
impossible.
quickly, so quick. And that's the thing. And this is so that was the 47th one they've done. And so
That's
they
so
have a
cool.
dedicated fan base that like loves to just support this thing. And so yeah, and they were hanging on every single joke. They were cheering. If there were chants involved, they would get in on the chants. I did this one bit where I make this grand entrance, and so I made the audience applause with me. And if it died down, I told them to keep going, and they were getting louder each time I did it. So it felt like a pep rally almost.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but really, I'm so glad that something like this exists here because it shows that people, if you make something with heart and intention,
Mhm.
they will show up, and I'm glad to see that.
That's awesome. I love
Yeah.
that. That's very
What about
cool.
you? What have you been up to?
Well, I was in Texas. I shot a commercial a few weeks ago. I know I was there, but that kind of ended, and it was a really interesting shoot. It's a very cinematic shoot. There's a lot of post-production and VFX in this particular spot, and so these are things they don't teach you. They do not teach you in acting school. Hey, one day you're going to be driving a brand new truck that is an $80,000 truck down a country highway road, and you need to stop on a dime, and you're going to have four people in the back of your truck with gear, and you have to go 45 miles an hour. You got to stop fast enough that it looks like it's a really hard stop, but you don't want to send the people in the back of the truck flying.
Hmm.
And everybody, and you have a walkie-talkie in the car, and you have a video village of like 20 ad execs being like, "Can you go faster?" So it was a very it was crazy. It was like it's so funny. I had a breakthrough, I would say, in the last 2 years. For years, commercials to me felt so it's like, "Oh, I'm a real artist. I'll do commercials." But
Hmm.
I took a wonderful class a few years ago that was just sort of about the process of commercials and the sort of minutia of the genuinely the commercial side of it. Like it is to sell a product or a service. And it kind of walked through all the just the kind of crazy aspects of how these things get cast and made and shot and what the objectives are. And It really showed me how the sausage gets made. And
Mhm.
I've had so much fun in the last year or two having a blast with commercials again
Mhm.
and sort of playing the puzzle of like, yes, the ultimate thing is like not that important, but there is this kind of fun game of how can I how can I craft a performance in a very not particularly truthful, emotional premise, but how can I still like find the emotional stakes and be a great actor in this kind of ridiculous world, anyways?
Mhm.
Um, so I had a lot of fun. The directors were these two awesome, they were both French directors, both brothers. And it was so funny because, we're doing a commercial, but you'd walk over between takes and be like, it is very good, but to see if you can be as more of an internal sort of thing. And, like, got it more internal. Yes. More like, raise the stakes, but keep it small. Like I had a real blast doing it. It was a lot of fun. So I did that. I got back, and then I've just been doing some auditions and a lot of editing. So
Mm.
I was telling James before we started recording, I was having a conversation with Nick about this too. Just so much of the stuff that you make that you care about, it being good is dependent on your tolerance for how much monotony you're willing to put up with. And I think that's where I'm at right now, where a lot of the stuff that I'm doing is very monotonous and tedious. And I know when it comes together and I can share it, people are going to go, that's cool. Right now, it doesn't feel cool. It just feels, it's so much
Yeah.
just minutia and tedium. But your willingness to see the vision through that process
Mhm.
is sort of the thing that will make or break your ability to finish something and see it to fruition. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. It's a lot of tedious, monotonous stuff, but I know when it's done, if I can just see it through to the end, it will be cool. I have to believe that. So,
That's why I think the most patient people in media are anyone that works in stop motion animation.
oh my, I can't, dude. Yes, I will say the last week I've been filming some stuff with some small things, not stop
Mhm.
motion, but some small things
Mhm.
that was very specific and very tedious in the capturing of it. And I kept thinking about like, or, any of the stop motion stuff, that we
Mhm.
love. And I was like, how do they do it? How do they do it for months coming into the same setup, moving an arm,
Ever so slight,
doing a
yeah.
frame, doing it, truly incredible, incredible. Do you have a favorite stop motion?
Oh, do I? Um, well, I used to watch a lot of Wallace and Gromit when I was younger.
Oh, dude, I love
So,
Wallace and Gromit.
yeah, I think those are pretty good. I vividly remember watching Chicken Run after.
Yes, Chicken Run was one of the
Yeah.
first movies I remember seeing in theaters.
Oh, really?
Yes, I have a vivid memory of going with friends and watching Chicken Run. I don't remember a lot of it. I remember the
Mhm.
mouths of the chickens were very funny to me,
Yes.
but, Chicken Run is great. Mine
Yeah.
is, Coraline. I go back to that movie
Mhm.
all the time. I think it's so the vibe, the mood, the sort of eerie liminal space of it all, it is like
Yeah.
such an aesthetic that I love and I crave. I want to like make things that feel like that. But man, I have a friend who she worked for years in miniatures and she's just told me what it takes to make it. And I just can't believe anybody ever does it and finishes anything. That's it. It's insane. Yeah, and animation too. Even just
Yeah.
animation, just hand drawn animation, impossible, impossible.
Yes, and it's impossible for me only because I'm such a terrible artist in that regard.
Me
I
too. Me
can
too.
like, oof, oof, just rough bucket.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyone that does animation, I applaud you.
Yes.
You're a much better and more patient man than I. All right, well, Kurt, why don't we get into it? I'm going to ask you, what are you into?
I'm gonna sound like a broken record because I'm gonna talk again about something I talked about last week, but I'm back to talk about it some more. So
Great.
you're just gonna have to listen. You're just gonna have to deal with it. And I'm still thinking about Project Hail Mary, but I actually
Yeah.
have a very specific thought. So I went and saw Project Hail Mary a second time. And I am not one to go. I will see movies a second and third time when I feel like they're a visceral sort of immersive experience, especially. I don't tend to rewatch movies very often. Lord of the Rings might be an exception. Toy Story, I go back to that a lot. But I felt like the first viewing of Project Hail Mary, it's there's so much imagery and sound and scope and scale, and I wanted to kind of go back having a fresh perspective. What I noticed, and this always happens with films, the movie came out a week or two ago, about 2 weeks ago. There was an initial positive wave. It's done really well at the box office. It's generally well reviewed. And if you're like me and you're a masochist, you're on film Twitter. I refuse to call it X. And you want to hate yourself, you're on film Twitter. And so I'm on film Twitter reading everyone's talking about it. And there's always this inevitable spike of positive energy. And then immediately on the heels of that, there's a wave of here's why the thing that everybody likes sucks actually. So there's a lot of that in the last week. But a recurring thing that I kept noticing in terms of the critique of the movie, and I am so open to the critique of films. I'm very, people may not vibe with it. They may not enjoy it. That's totally fine. It's a taste thing. But one of the things that I really stuck in my got under my skin this week was that a lot of criticism of the film was geared around it's this like hope core millennial cringe kind of naivety. We talked about it a little bit last week on the podcast, but I saw a lot more of that subsequently. And so going back to watch it again, I watched it on Sunday. I kind of had that in the back of my mind of like, okay, is this a naive sort of what if things are better? And there's a lot of criticism of it offers hope without a real sense of the gravity of things. And so I went into it thinking like, okay, I want to be open to that criticism and like see how it hit me. And I'm here to say those people are wrong. And in this essay, and I literally wrote another essay, so I really went in on this. But no, jokes aside, I genuinely, on a second viewing, what really struck me, and I think this is actually really the reason I'm thinking about this in life is because we are at a point right now where things feel objectively pretty bad in a lot of ways. And yes, a lot of that can be algorithmic suggestion. It's people are more inclined to engage if they're feeling, enraged and angry or whatever. That's true. However, there's some really bad things happening. There's some really bad things going on. Wars and policing of the streets and it's, and economically it feels like things are like tipping over into a really bad place.
Yeah.
And I understand why people might have this like, you know what? I don't want to deal with this. I don't accept your everything could work out if we just, that doesn't feel like it's grounded in anything. And so on the second viewing, something that really stuck with me that I feel like I can bring into the way I'm thinking about the world is in particular the character that Sandra Hüller, not sure.
I think you're correct.
Hüller plays. She plays a character in the film named Eva Strat. I'm not going to spoil it here, but essentially the premise of the movie is Earth is pretty much doomed. The sun is being eaten alive, and her character has assembled a team of people to attempt to do something about it. And yes, the movie is very hopeful and trying to say, what if we all work together in science? Maybe we'd all figure it out. Sure. But in particular, her character on a second viewing really struck a chord with me because Ryan Gosling is goofing around and making jokes and being fun and it's adorable and great. Her character is there's a real gravity and weight and pain that her character kind of bears throughout the film. And there's this one particular scene where she gets up and sings Harry Styles' Sign of the Times in this karaoke scene that a lot of people have talked about. And on a second viewing, it really shattered me because you see this character who is fully aware of the full weight of the hopelessness that is sort of in front of humanity. And she understands that she is in many ways asking everyone involved to to go to their deaths. This mission they're on it is a one-way ticket. There is no coming back from it. And even at that, it's the most long shot. It's likely not going to work. But there's this great moment where she's singing this song. She's singing, don't stop, you're crying. It's a sign of the times. And she kind of has a forced smile, but underneath it all, there's this heaviness. There's this pain of, I'm so sad that it's come to this, but yet we must try. And there's this moment on the boat that happens right before that where Ryan Gosling's character asks her, he says, "Hey, do you believe in God?" And she says, "It's better than the alternative." And that particular moment, that particular scene, that line really encapsulated for me what I think really struck me about this film, that goes beyond hopium, goes beyond just whatever this millennial Reddit core humor, whatever the critique is. And that is that, and I'll just read a section from the thing that I wrote on my newsletter. But I wrote, the moment we find ourselves in culturally, geopolitically, economically is bleak. To deny that, to look away, to pretend the tidal wave isn't at our door would be ignorance. But does that mean we give up? Do we resign ourselves to the inevitable darkness? Strat, who is Hewler's character, and the film's answer is no. You bring the best of yourself to the task at hand. You use whatever skills and gifts you have. You launch yourself into the darkness and you face the problem. Why? Because it's better than the alternative. And that was what I took from the movie. And the reason I think it hit me and it struck me so much is that at this moment in time, it's so easy to get on the internet and just spiral so quickly. And it's understandable. It's not a ridiculous reaction to look at things and go, what the F is happening? But I love that this character represents that. In the face of that, you say, yeah, it's bad. What are we going to do about it? What are we going to do? How are we going to, despite the impossibility of it, still try to do something? And I think that a lot of people right now maybe are feeling that it is so easy to slip into nihilism, to slip into a very dark place where you go, you know what, we tried, I give up. And I guess the movie for me injected in a very real, palpable way, not a fake, not a sweet, escapist way, but in a very genuine way. This character represents somebody who recognizes the darkness at hand and is like, but we're going to still try to do something about it. And I love that. And it really has given me a lot of hope, and not to ignore bad things, but to go, but I'm going to choose to try to do something about it with whatever skill I have, whatever thing that I have at my disposal. It is actually worth it to try to do something about it. So I don't know. I'm here to say that the people who say this movie is, the hope is naive. I think they're wrong. And I actually think that there's something pretty powerful about choosing hope, letting it inspire you to action, even when things feel bad. And I think we need more of that.
I would agree with you. And I do wonder, because we asked this question last week, specifically about the whole fact that this is a millennial connected emotion, like hope and I guess happiness in general. And I understand that, how dare this generation want to be happy. But I balk at that, because if you think about it, when we were kids, we were being told fairy tales, and most of them had some sort of moral to them, some sort of understanding that at the end of this story, the actions of the protagonist, the hero, the good person resulted in a favorable outcome. As you grow up, you realize that is not always the case. Sometimes you try everything and you fail, and sometimes it doesn't work. But if the lesson is to keep going, then we realize that our efforts are not in vain, as long as we are intent on helping others around us and to provide a better future. Somewhere along the line, that gets misconstrued as, oh, well, you guys are just telling these tall tales, but that's not how the real world works. Look at our government, look at this. And I think cynicism is such a huge part of our culture right now. Nihilism is a
Mhm.
huge part of it. Um, and I find it hard to digest that people would balk at a movie like Project Hail Mary, which technically is a masterpiece. I think they did a phenomenal job, cinematography, direction. I think it's a great movie. But if you're saying the story at its core about hope and connection, I think those are two of the biggest things we need as a society right now. And for people to not recognize in a fictional story that there is a value in saying a story like that,
Mhm.
that's it. Now that to me, it's like, okay, so something's wrong with us. Something's fundamentally wrong with us now. And yes, it is. I'm very well aware, even though I'm not on Twitter. I know that
Good for you.
I'm calling it Twitter. I haven't been on Twitter for almost 2 years now, I think. But it's very. I know that everything's reactionary. Everything
Right.
is because what gets clicks is the hot take with little nuance and little understanding of the other person. We treat people like just an anonymous figure halfway across the world, even if they're in the same state, same city, same block as us, because there's that level of anonymity that removes you from whatever negative emotion you decided to impart in the world. But that disconnection is what makes things like watching an astronaut connect with an alien who had to figure out their ways to connect and communicate with each other. That's something we could do with just one person, two humans that speak different languages. We could do that. But there are people who are inherently thinking that, no, I don't connect to this person. I don't see their humanity. I don't see their value. So, to your point, I, I don't I don't have an answer as to why, or I guess a solution, I should say. How do we fix that? Because you can just not like the movie, and that's fine. You don't have to like every single movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I want to be clear. 100%. If someone's like,
Hmm.
it just didn't work for me, I didn't buy it, to go, absolutely. Like, dude, of course, you don't have to like it.
Hmm.
But it's bad because it suggests that hope is a viable path to a better future. I'm like, I refuse to walk down that road, because
Hmm.
if we're starting to say, "Oh my god, the art suggests that things could get better," ugh, I'm like, well, then it's self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
Like, I do not need a movie to moralize and to hold my hand and say, "Here's what you should do." But I found it so moving that a film could look genuine doom in the face and say, but we should still try. And that actually really leapt out to me on a second viewing. And it feels like that is something we desperately need more people in this moment in time. I understand the impetus to feel hopelessness.
Hmm.
I think the movie suggests you should act anyways. You should, like, still, there's a great moment where she goes, little spoiler for the movie, so if you wanna skip ahead 20, 30 seconds, do it now. It's not really a full spoiler, but it's kind of a conflicting moment in the character going on this journey. But her character is basically saying, "I need you to Ryan Gosling, like, I need you to go. I need you to be the scientist on this mission." And he's like, "I'm not the guy, dude. I'm not the guy. I can't do it. I'm a teacher. I'm not an astronaut." And she's like, "If you don't go, the mission fails and we all die in 30 years." And he's like, "Yeah, I know that sucks, but I think I'd rather, like, die in 30 years here on the planet as we all starve than go now." And she goes, "It's only 30 years, and that's if the countries of the world could work together, and we know they won't." It's like, she is not unaware of the hopelessness. She's not like, "It'll be great. We're gonna figure it
Hmm.
out." She
Hmm.
is so heavy, but she is like, we're still gonna do something. And
Hmm.
that feels so urgent and of this moment in this
Hmm.
time. And I refuse to believe that is naivety. Do you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
refuse to accept that.
And now, actually, I'm glad you brought up that scene because now it's making me like kind of analyze the opposition here. And I think what it is that if they feel like a moment of connection, tenderness, happiness is being quote manufactured, that makes
Mm,
it inauthentic. And part of so that it's like, well, no, I mean, if this is the story, if this is our arc, I don't want to say that just because something has a happier ending, or just because a character is basing their intentions, their want on the idea of hope and possibility, that doesn't mean, you can feel however you want to feel from that action. That's just a human thing. But I don't think that in this case is manufactured happiness. This isn't a Hallmark card. This isn't an overly saccharine script. I do think there is something at the core of this. And so it's almost like people don't want to be tricked into being happy. And maybe that's their problem to deal with. And there are plenty of therapists, and everyone should see one. But I don't think this is one of those cases that, they're feeding us some, this overly dramatic but happy. And it's like, no, there's something at the core of this that we can really connect to and listen to. I think some people are just afraid to tap into that emotion lest they be deemed soft for whatever reason. So,
and I recognize, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, like, man, they've been through it. They a lot of people coming out of high school hoping to have stepping into the beginning of their lives, got hit with lockdowns, got hit with economic just devastation. And so I understand that. I understand this, like, what are you excited about? What are you hopeful for? And I think you kind of have to make your own hope and believe that better things are possible, because what's the alternative? To just give up? And I'm not ready to do that yet. So
yeah. Yeah.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. That's awesome. That's great. Yeah, I'm glad.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that movie. So I'm glad you saw it again.
Yeah. James, I have a question for you.
Yes.
So what are you into?
Not
question mark.
Question mark. It's a multi-layered into this week.
Oh, I love a multi-layered into.
So I'm going to start with the positive. The Scrubs reboot / continuation came out a few weeks ago, a little over a month, I think, at this point. And I got to say, I enjoy it. I was a big fan of the show when it first aired. Probably a little young to be watching it at the time, but I could appreciate the humor. I liked how quick it was. I really loved JD and Turk's friendship. I always wanted that. I think everyone wanted that bromance. And in fact, was that like kind of the first TV bromance where two hetero dudes were just so comfortable with themselves that their friendship could, it just kind of existed in a way that was not toxic. And I think that a lot of people gravitated towards that.
You think they genuinely love each other, and they're not afraid to express their love and devotion for each other. And what's weird about it is not that they love each other. They're just weird people, but everyone's like, they got a special thing, and it is something to be admired, and it is a beautiful thing. And I love that the show embraced that and says, this is beautiful. Let these people love each other and take care of each other and be there for each other.
Yes.
It's genuinely well, I grew up watching Seinfeld, but I remember distinctly falling in love with the idea of a sitcom through watching Scrubs on TV as a kid. And my mom, for some reason, let me watch it. I don't know why, because I couldn't watch a lot of other stuff, but I just watched so much Scrubs, and I love the jokes and the setups and the payoffs and the bizarre, cutaways and the absurdity of it. So I have not watched the revival, but everyone that's an OG Scrubs fan has all said it's actually really good. So I'm stoked to hear that you're enjoying it.
Yeah, I really think they hit the mark on it. I know there was that extra season over a decade ago that was not as great. I think they corrected a lot of mistakes from that by just going back to the root and the heart of the show, which is on the other side. So yeah, it's known for its comedy. It's known for, like I said, the bromance. But at the end of the day, it's laced with a lot of life lessons and things not working out, picking yourself up after a patient might not make it, or you're seeing the humanity and the life lesson in each interaction between medical professional and patient. So I really like what they're doing with this show. And it's funny that you bring this up with Project Hail Mary about people being suspicious of the happiness or whether it's manufactured, because I just looked up an article from Variety. And Variety, I'm noticing a trend with you guys. So I don't know what's going on in the water cooler over there, But the title of this it was a month ago, but it was The Scrubs Revival is Millennial Cringe. So once again, everyone has something against millennials and joy, but again, see a therapist. I wonder, and this is the part where I'm going to go into the negative spin, because you might have heard me rant about this in the past. I'm not the greatest advocate for all of these revivals, reboots, bringing things back. I'm not always on board with them. And the reason I've said that is because I do want opportunities for new shows to come up. I do want new writers. I want new voices. And, we're well past the starting point now, but our current media landscape is dependent on existing IP. It's dependent on something that they know was a guaranteed moneymaker 10, 20 years before, that will have a built-in audience and is guaranteed to return some of its investment on once it airs. What that means is that sometimes that's less opportunities for those of us that are up and coming. I think we forget that with shows that have been running forever, and I'm talking about your CSIs, NCISs, your Scrubs notwithstanding, because there was a large gap in between seasons, but even something down to, I feel like I'm just calling out CBS shows, but Survivor being on 50 seasons, right? So we have to understand, like, so we're living in an interesting age, because Curt, when you and I are kids in the 90s, shows maybe ran for, if you got to 10 years, that was a big deal.
Yeah.
That was a huge thing. The fact that some shows have made it past that, the fact that any show is, in such heavy syndication that some actors are just literally living off of reruns. Like, I feel like the cast of Big Bang Theory, again, a CBS show. There's a trend here. But the cast of Big Bang Theory is going to live off of just reruns for the rest of their lives. If they didn't want to work, they didn't have to, because of just what they were making. So a part of me is I'm at odds with myself here, because it's a show that I like Scrubs, and I think they're doing a good job. So it's like, hey, this is great to bring in another show that is a lot of joy, a lot of happiness, with a lot of heart. But at the same time, it's like, oh, but we're falling into that trap again, because what will happen is you'll get some really inventive shows that just need to get off the ground. And if they don't show within the first, sometimes 3 episodes, that they're going to maintain an audience, they're already out the door. And now we're getting, it hasn't happened yet, but Friends reboot, just because they know a network doesn't have to risk anything by having an audience that's dedicated to that show.
And I think you make a great point about that. We have, back in the day, it's like shows were successful if they ran 5, 6, 7 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
That was considered a really great arc. And yes, shows came out that didn't get picked up or take off. But I feel like now you point to this bizarre divide where we have shows that have literally been on the air for, I think Grey's Anatomy just got picked up for season 23.
Yeah.
And then you also have shows that get pulled before they've even begun to find an audience.
Mm-hmm.
They dump a whole season on streaming, and then they're like, it's canceled. Like, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
you have the extremes where it's like no runway, or it's just going and going and going and going and going and going because it's a surefire thing. That middle ground of, can it go 3 or 4 seasons? That it feels like they are so reluctant to let shows even have that opportunity. So if it's not a hit, pull it. And that's, to your point, why they're like, how do we make sure it's a hit? Let it be something people are already familiar with. Make sure it's something that people go, I remember that from when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is absolutely dominating what kinds of things even get pitched and potentially greenlit, much less developed beyond the initial concept.
Yeah. I mean, and to take it over to the movie side lately, I kind of lament the death of the rom-com.
Oh, me too.
So they've kind of been subjected to just being almost exclusively on Netflix now.
Yeah.
And you don't really see them. They don't get a lot of big names. I I'm not going to say I've seen every movie, so someone's going to, correct me and tell me, hey, this movie came out. But in terms of major movie release, like theater releases, commercial releases, you might get one or two, maybe three big rom-coms a year now.
You
When
got that the Sydney Sweeney Glenn Powell one. It's like
Mhm,
Anyone But You or whatever.
something like
That
that.
was the last one, and before that, it was a good
Mhm,
chunk of time that actually found an audience.
mhm,
And yeah, most of the time they get kind of relegated to a throwaway,
mhm,
streaming thing that comes out on Valentine's Day or something, or it becomes even more niche, like a romance, but it's specifically like
mhm,
Hallmark. And I'm not diminishing those works.
mhm,
It's just it is seen as, oh, that belongs over there in the corner, not that can
mhm,
be enjoyed. We just recently, I had never seen the movie It's Complicated with Meryl Streep and Alec Baldwin and Steve Martin.
mhm,
It was my first big audition I ever had, and I got a call back for it, and I got pretty close. I think I got like put on a veil to play Meryl Streep's son, and then
mm.
I didn't get the part, and Hunter Parrish got it, which in
Oh,
hindsight makes sense because I don't.
okay.
He's blonde. He looks like whatever. He looks like it makes sense. And he was on Weeds, but I had never
Mhm,
seen it because I was bitter at the time. I was like, I'm not going to watch this movie. It would have changed
mhm,
my life. And we went back and rewatched it. What a delight! What a
mhm.
stacked cast.
Yeah.
That money was spent. John Krasinski's in it. Like, you're just like, wow, look at like this well produced, well shot, well funded, delightful story of romance. And I was like, they would never make anything like this nowadays
No.
at all.
And back in the 90s, I feel like they were coming out with those every other week because
Yes.
that and also like the stoner comedy, the
Oh,
I mean, we can talk about the content of the jokes and stuff like that before, but what I'm
right,
saying is
right.
there were different scripts and different types of movies that were coming out way more frequently, I would say 30 years ago. And now, as big of a nerd as I am, even I got fatigued with Marvel, but they just knew if you throw out a Marvel movie, you're gonna get an audience, unless there's a female lead, and then all the dude bros are gonna try to trash it before it even comes out. So, I the reason I bring that up is to say that nostalgia, whether it's TV, whether it's film, has kind of made us as an audience expect to only see the thing that we already know. We have to go in and
Mm,
be comfortable. I think now we've been conditioned to not take the risk on the smaller script and not take a risk on unknown actors in favor of the thing that, because the powers that be, your major studios and then even advertisements, are only going towards the bigger projects and whoever they
mhm.
want, because again, they want a guarantee that we're getting that they're going to get their money, so they're only going to do something that they know you're going to watch, rather
Yep.
than take that script that is an inventive new idea, and it might build its own audience. They just don't want to do that anymore. And I, as an actor, as I mean, not to say that I'm getting anywhere near those scripts when I'm auditioning, but it excites me to see something new and different. Like that play that I just did last week. It was about birds, but that was so much fun because we don't do shit like that. No one, you're not out here to like trying some experimental stuff and just trying to find new ways to tell a story about love. um and so that's why I'm at odds with myself, because again, I'm watching the Scrubs revival, and I'm loving it. It's fun. It reminds me, yes, of what I loved about the show before. Malcolm in the Middle is about to come back. That actually looks pretty good too. But yeah, where's the new shows? Like, where's something that ABC took a chance and said like, hey, here's a new show, let's try this out.
I don't
Yeah.
know if this is a valid parameter to think about it through, but this is how I tend to sort of analyze it. I go, if there was a real story in there to be told, and you can, and admit, we're not privy to how things get developed exactly, but I guess I feel like sometimes when I've seen things brought back, you get a really strong sense that there really was something here that the creators wanted to like get to. And I've had projects, again, not talking successful syndicated TV shows, but projects where years later I was like, oh, it'd be so fun to do that. Oh, I have this an idea. Oh, it'd be so fun to do that. Like, we've had thoughts about that with characters we've played. Oh, wouldn't it be cool if these characters, what if we saw them later on? Or, there's been a running joke for years ever since I did Spies Are Forever. The end of the show ends with Agent Kurt Mega will return and Spies Are Forever 2, which is a gag. But like
Mhm.
there is a world where I'm like, oh, it would be so fun. So I
Mhm.
can understand the instinct of creators and actors and artists being like, you guys want to get back together and make the thing. But then there's the ones where you go, this feels like the only way that they could get funding was to say, what if it was tied to a franchise? And
Mhm.
which literally, let's just bring it back because let's dust that off a shelf. I can't fault people for, I got an audition. I'd be like, okay, I'm back. I'll
Mhm.
join this endeavor. But it's tough, man. It's tough when you
Mhm.
feel like a thing is being dusted off the shelf because they don't want those rights to expire. Or they're like,
Mhm.
we got this IP. Let's there. I'll just say there's a very famous IP that has recently released a trailer for a remake of
Mhm.
a thing. And I was watching the trailer and there is no shade to the children involved. They are children. But I was watching it going, is this AI?
Mhm.
I'm watching the thing that I've already seen
Mhm.
again,
Mhm.
slightly different, but not really,
Mhm.
but kind of. It was such a bizarre thing. And I was like, what is the reason for doing this? And the only reason I can come up with is we got to make that money. We got the IP. Let's
Truly.
use it, baby.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
that
that
feels not like the art that I particularly want to engage with.
the question I find myself asking more often than not is, who is this for? And yes, that show in particular, listen, they've already got theme parks. All the movies already exist. They made some pretty subpar sequels and video games and like all kinds. So there's so much money in that already. I don't know what who this show is for, especially because the author has turned off so much of the fan base that made that thing popular in the first place.
Mhm, mhm.
So yeah,
Do
so I
you
agree. Go ahead.
do you remember back in this is prior to MCU Spider-Man stuff, but there was I remember when Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man came out, or even the Fantastic Four, a lot of those films that were developed in the 2000s were genuinely because they needed to make a movie every so often to retain the rights. Like
Mhm.
genuinely Sony was like, we need a new Spider-Man every so often so that we can hold on to the rights that we acquired from Marvel ages ago. And there's a whole,
Mhm.
I'm not going to get the exact numbers correct, but there was a whole specific sort of litigious aspect to it where if a certain amount of time passes, they would lose the right. So there is genuinely a TikTok like, all right, we need a new one. We got to keep
Mhm.
that. We got to it's putting the
Yeah.
paddles on the
Yeah.
corpse and going, let's go, baby. Let's
I
pump some life into this
I'm
thing.
probably wrong in my recollection of this, but I believe that's what happened with Craven and Morbius, is that I think they had to make those. Otherwise, yes, they would have lost the
Yeah.
rights. But someone please correct me, send an email and tell me I'm wrong. But that, but yeah, that happens a lot.
And people, listen, like I think nostalgia is a powerful, powerful thing. I saw the trailer for the new Toy Story movie and I went,
Mm.
I'd watch it. I'd watch it because I love Toy Story. I do. Like I love that
Yeah.
world. I love those characters. And so I I can it's like I guess what I'm saying is I don't think less because somebody's like, you know what? I really like this thing and it's back and it makes me happy to revisit and reconnect with it. That can genuinely be a beautiful, wonderful thing in the kinds if I was given all the power tomorrow, I go, what do I think is a net positive for for the arts, for creativity? To me, I want to. We talked about the cats of it all. Like
Mhm.
that's why seeing what they're doing with this reinvention of cats to me is the coolest way you could possibly come back and take this thing that has been done and every conceivable theater it's toured and go,
Mhm.
what is something you would never have expected? And I think it takes a real courage and willingness for people with the money to go, you know what? Let's try something different. So I
Yes.
want to like seek out that kind of art, and I want to support that kind of art and be a patron of that kind of art, because that's the kind of stuff that to me goes, that's exciting. That's why I wanted to do this in the first place.
Yeah.
But I also understand nostalgia, and I can't, I don't want to belittle it and be like, oh, you like a thing. It's like, I get
but
it. I
but no,
totally get it.
but I'll agree with that. And so to bring that full circle, yes, like the Cats Jellicle Ball that's in New York right now is a perfect example of, if you're gonna do something that's already been done, just find a new way to do it.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
like, so for instance, when with Star Kid, when I did VHS Christmas Carol, and I directed the expanded version, it's like, okay, like I want to take what we did, but I don't want to just do the same thing, lest we, we're just running the wheel and everyone's like paid to see that already. Let's add some more layers. Same thing with the Guy revival that we did last year. Yes, there's a world in which I could have kept the choreography that I did back in the original, and that's fine. People loved it. Thank you. But also for me, artistically, I don't want to just put the same thing out there. I want to try to expand this. We have a different space. Let's see how we can stretch this and give it new life and new vision. And I'm really happy that we did that, and
Mhm.
that there's this version of the show that also exists. And so
Absolutely.
I mean, and this doesn't have to apply just to theater. I think there are ways in which, if we're going to just rely on nostalgia and rely on existing IP, then let's find new ways to tell these stories, so that we can, maybe get a new audience, maybe get people to be engaged in something that they normally wouldn't have watched in the first place, because they know, oh, well, I've already seen that. I know what to expect. There's no reason for me to enjoy this. So yeah, I go for the new stuff. Go for expanding your horizons.
And I think if creators and artists can keep that at the forefront of part of the endeavor of making things is to challenge and push audiences to be open to new experiences. And I think part of being a great artist, and I'm not trying to say that I am, I'm on that journey to I want to be, but it is recognizing that you don't necessarily want to give the audience what they think they want. And I think sometimes that's the issue with, I don't know if it's executives or the sort of corporatization of art.
It's
It's such a
commercial
weird
art.
thing.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah, it's like
commercial
such a
art.
bizarre thing when you're making a thing that needs to be profitable and have an ROI to justify it. It is like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. Like, it is truly kind of two antithetical things trying to like come together and make something cohesive. But I think there's a real artistry to knowing what an audience is looking for and giving it to them in a way they would never expect. Versus, you said you wanted this, so I gave you exactly what you wanted. That to me is like such a magic thing when you go to see a new piece of theater or a movie or listen to an album or something, and you're like, here's what I think I'm going to get from it. And then it surprises me and takes me on into wild new directions. And yes, it gives me something that I thought I was going to get, but it gives me something I never expected. That to me is it's the ultimate task and the ultimate pursuit I have as a creative. It's like, I want to give you something you didn't even know you wanted. But
Mhm.
once you get it, you're going to be like, that was amazing. But it requires an audience to come to the table willing to engage with something that I'm so grateful to my mom growing up. She always, and I totally understand with food specifically that there are very specific, textural things and whatnot. But I remember as a kid, my mom was like, you need to try everything once and and really decide for yourself if you don't like it. You got to try the mashed potatoes
Mhm.
at our this dinner we've been invited to. And if you hate them, you tried them, you were respectful about it. Now you know. Now you don't ever have to have them again. And she really instilled that in me. And I want to encourage people with art to think the same way. I don't like horror movies. Okay. Watch this.
Mhm.
If you engage with it and then you still hate it, great. Now you know. But like, give something a try. I don't like dance heavy pieces. okay, just try it. It goes back to our tagline of like, stay curious, but there is something so valuable in I'm gonna try something, even if I don't know if I'm gonna get what I want out of it, but you
Mhm.
might get something you never expected.
Yeah.
And nostalgia, unfortunately, is kind of like, well, I know I like cake, so give me cake.
Mhm.
And they're like, it's okay. Was this cake? It's cake upon cake upon cake. It's a 6-layer cake of cake, and there's cake on the bottom and cake versus like, I like cake, but I don't know what else do you got. And you go, okay, all right, it's a little cake, but
Mhm.
you tried ice cream? Like
It's like, what?
that's
Yeah.
our job, is to bring us in. And so I mean, to your credit, especially with like the guy thing, I think you guys did that beautifully. People are like, I like the guy who didn't like musicals. And you go, yeah, great. Here it is. Here's some stuff you didn't know might be in there too. And that's so cool. That's
Mhm.
the reason why you do it. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Try new stuff.
Try new stuff. Yeah. Um, well, yeah. All right. Anything else
I want
you wanted to
cake.
add? Oh, I.
Just that I
You know what I
want
got?
cake now. I don't.
Okay, I don't want cake because I actually hate frosting. But what I did get are some
Really?
oat ice cream bars from Trader Joe's
Oh,
because
oh,
I'm
that
mostly
sounds really good.
I'm like 95% dairy free, so I get these oat milk ice cream bars, and they are
That sounds really good.
delicious, delicious.
This is a food thing I've been into, and I'll just throw it out there. Now that we're talking
Please,
food, why not talk food? We should
yeah,
talk food.
talk about food.
We should bring on a chef. I've had the same breakfast every day for the last 6 months,
Excuse me.
and it is all I want to eat. It's my favorite thing. It genuinely, I wake up and I'm like, I can't wait to eat that.
Hmm.
Um, and it's gonna sound weird, but I'll tell you what it is.
Okay.
Greek yogurt, which is kind of nasty. I don't love Greek yogurt. Oatmeal,
Okay.
and then I put in, not sponsored, the Rise brand Skippy peanut butter protein powder,
Okay.
and I mix it up. I put it in the night before, and sometimes if I'm feeling real sexy, I'll put in a little sugar-free cheesecake jello, just a little dash.
Sure.
Then in the morning, throw in a cup of frozen blueberries into it,
Uh-huh.
and the sensation of it is like cheesecake pudding every
Mm.
morning. It's got 55 grams of protein. It's got 30, 40 grams of carbs. It is everything.
Yes.
I'm thinking about it right now. It is my favorite meal, and it tastes like blueberry cheesecake pudding, and I eat it every single morning, and it's
Okay,
changed my life.
so basically, so what you do, you're doing overnight oats.
Essentially,
Yeah, you're
yes.
doing overnight oats because I have done that. What I'll do is I'll do like obviously like a dairy free yogurt, and then
Are
I'll
you
put
are you are you lactose intolerant?
I'm so like I'm learning the answer is yes, and I kept
Okay.
testing that limit with like pizza and stuff, and I'm learning like in my big
Yeah, yeah,
age,
yeah.
it's slowly like just don't have it. But yeah, so I'll do some dairy free yogurt. I'll do a little bit of protein. I'll put the berries or strawberries in that night with the oatmeal, so
Mm.
that everything's already ready the next morning. So we're just going about our ingredients in a different
Yeah,
order.
yeah, yeah. It's
But I'm
so funny.
realizing,
Go ahead. No, so good. Go ahead.
well, I was just say, I'm realizing that honey is also a really great addition in there. Put some honey in
So
there. And that
good.
makes okay. You were saying,
I was talking to somebody about this recently, and they were like, why would you put frozen berries and not fresh berries? Totally valid. I love fresh berries, but the frozen berries kind of makes it feel like kind of ice creamy.
mm,
It's so good. I genuinely cannot believe how good it is. And I can't believe how good the macros are. And
yeah,
I wake up every morning and I go, I can't wait to eat my yogurt.
Kurt,
And Kim is like, do you want a different thing? And I'm like, no, never change.
you've never sounded more 65 in your life.
I know.
But
I know.
but also I have such like food ADD. Like I can't eat the same things for a long period. Like the fact that you've been doing it for 6 months, I go through like 3 days, and if I've had the same thing for 3 days that isn't Captain Crunch, I have to find something else to eat.
I normally do. I have my meals that I like to come back to that I know are good, but I
Mhm.
do love to try different things. But for some reason, it has like hit the spot. So
Yeah.
Anyway, maybe come over. I'll make it for you. Well, you can't have. Never mind. You can't have.
I can't have dairy. We can substitute the yogurt. The one thing I will say though, it has become part of my morning routine. A different brand of rise, or maybe it is, but it's the mushroom coffee. I'm a mushroom coffee guy now.
Yeah.
I love it. It's great because I don't like the actual taste of coffee.
Like lion's mane and
it's got all that really good stuff in there, and it gives me a little perk, just enough to go about my day. Otherwise, I drink a yerba mate.
Do you have like a specific morning routine? Sorry, I know we're running long, but I'm just curious. Do you have like a specific morning routine with your wake up and eating and all that?
The first thing I'll do before I eat anything is I'll have that tea. I'll have or mushroom coffee rather. I'll have that. Some mornings when I'm really good and like actually feeling energized, I'll do some yoga in the morning. I do that before I eat though, because I'm not always hungry. First thing when I wake up, I'm not always hungry. So yeah. That's kind of
interesting.
That's my.
We're going to become a fitness podcast, a health and fitness podcast.
Yeah. So what are you into? Transcendental meditation. Yep. That's where I'm at right now.
I don't know how we got to yogurt from Scrubs, but I don't question it. We just go. Yes, and.
All right. So for those of you who didn't skip the last 10 minutes, thank you for listening. So as always, you can get in contact with us on socials at So What Are You Into Pod. And also you can email us at sowhatareyoutopod@gmail.com. All right, Curt, this has been fun.
Stay curious, folks.
Stay curious, everybody.
Eat your yogurt.
Frozen berries. Oh, yeah. Dum, dum.